Today, I wanted to talk about, and this will be hopefully a quicker topic than when we do the work trends, which is 45 minutes or so. I want to make sure that you understand what's in your LinkedIn profile. And of course, you're saying to me, yes, I do, Sue. I've been working with you for a while. I pay attention to it. But I want to make sure you understand how it helps you. And so we're going to look at various ways that it helps you, and there are a lot. And I'm now trying to get to my next slide. Today's takeaway is LinkedIn is your place to see and be seen. If you've worked with me, you may have heard me say that before. You have to take control of your story on LinkedIn, everywhere actually. And on LinkedIn, you do it by using specific profile sections, what I call your real estate, to feature you and your expertise and your achievements. So think about this house. It has a bright red door. We'll be talking about that again soon. Not a lot, but a little bit. I would love it if you'd put in the chat, how do you rate your LinkedIn level? You can rate it on anything you want. You can give me a 0 if you don't have LinkedIn, although I think everybody on here does have a LinkedIn profile. And that great. Thank you. 2 from Stephanie, 1 from Ron. I will call myself 3, but I will tell you I'm a 2 because I haven't made the time to follow the things that my LinkedIn expert friends tell me I should be doing. So we're all in there. At least we understand a little bit. Here's what I hear, though, from people who are very busy, and I understand that. They say, Sue, I don't have the time to get on LinkedIn very much. And there's always under that the question about whether or not it's worth it. Am I getting the return on investment that my time warrants? People that are global will occasionally tell me, Sue, I don't think my LinkedIn profile really helps me in my own country. So they're really not sure what they want to do with it. And other people say, Sue, my LinkedIn's good enough. Now, this is a profile that I don't believe is real because I asked Gemini to give me a female and a male profile for LinkedIn, and I didn't specify it any more than that. And this is one that's not very well filled in, so it makes a good model. So people have reasons that they don't use LinkedIn, but I think that they don't always realize how and in what way LinkedIn can help you. So first we're going to start with, if you don't tell your story, who will? Then we're going to go on to the key opportunities in your LinkedIn profile. And as always, we'll end with what should you do? So we'll get started. Whoops. We'll get started with, if you don't tell your story, who will tell it for you? Does anybody want to unmute and tell me, how does LinkedIn help you tell your career story? You can just unmute and say something if you have something to contribute.
For me, I'm just going to jump in, and I am a novice at it, and I'm not in a career mode. But what I have found recently is being able to use it to tell stories about things that I'm doing that I like to share. And so it's because I'm in that peculiar place where I'm not really progressing a career, that's not really how I would use it. But to share expertise, that is something I've been attempting to do, and I've published a couple of items just to try and do that.
That's great. Thank you very much for that. And they're great examples. And yes, I love seeing your things that you've published. All right, LinkedIn has a lot of reasons for you to be out there being aware of what's in your profile, but also remembering, which we don't always think about. Oh, I'm sorry. Stephanie said, lets people know your career history and where you've worked. A previous job may be relevant when I'm applying. That is so true. And I think people are understanding that more and more when they say, oh, LinkedIn shouldn't just be your resume or your long CV. But in actual fact, it should be, because LinkedIn doesn't penalize you for filling up all of your job experience, and those may be relevant at some point, as you said, Stephanie. So LinkedIn is open 24/7 for business. You never know who's looking. You never know what they're seeing unless someone looks at your profile, in which case you might get a flag saying someone looked at your profile. And LinkedIn, if you have a free account, like many of us, will tell you one name or one fact about them. It's also important because LinkedIn, as I started with in the takeaway, LinkedIn has real estate and it's set up in certain ways. There are certain blocks that go first, second, third, like the floor plan to a house. But once you're in there, you can decorate it and use it however you decide. So it's very important to think about locations of some of these topics. And now we're not getting Hang on, now I'm not getting the scrolling that I want. Let me go over here to the thumbnails. All right. So it's also a place for you to put out your expertise, and no one's going to tell you how to do that. So you're in charge of whether you are this person, whether you are, my key's not moving. This person writing their LinkedIn, you might be a young teacher, you might be an expert on something that people need to hear about. LinkedIn also, in the places that you fill in, helps you attract your target audience. Not everybody in that group, you can see some people turning away, are going to be the audience that wants to work with you. So, where are these key opportunities? Before we start, I want to know from you, when was the last part of LinkedIn you updated and when? What was the last part that you updated and when was it? Do you remember what you did? Did you change your headshot? Did you add an article? Did you add an honor award? Anybody? Or you can unmute and let me know. You changed your job title, Stephanie. Thank you. That's great. And I know that was fairly recent.
And for
All
me, I
right,
did two
Ron.
things. One was the posting of an article, and the other one was changing my about paragraph. Went to that new model that we developed with the bulleted format.
Great. Good. I'll have to go look. I didn't realize. All right. If you've worked with me and you both probably have heard of this, may not remember it, but I talk about credibility cues. And those are cues that help establish your credibility. They can be words, but they can also be visuals. And we'll talk more about that. This is a screenshot of the entire LinkedIn profile for me. Now, my profile's fairly full, so this would be considered a pretty full profile. Hard to read, you're not meant to read it. But I just want you to see what it looks like linearly if you go to someone's profile and they have a lot in there, scroll and scroll. Now, LinkedIn caps things. They don't show you more than 3 lines of the About section. They don't show you more than a couple lines of each of your job descriptions that you put in there. But you can always get to that information. The areas are there. So let's look at 7 areas that I want you to think about and be aware of. The first is in your first box. Your first box is loaded, loaded, loaded. Your curb appeal is what gets them in the door. And this is your name, your degrees, your certifications. These are the credibility. And why do I say that when you've got your headshot on your banner? Because our eyes go to the top left looking for words. So we scroll down, and LinkedIn also makes your name quite large. So you have your name there. You have the opportunity now to put degrees with your name. You may even have name record, the little microphone speaker. You may have verified your account. So there are a lot of things there that are saying, here's a real person. The second thing here, again, to get back to my thumbnails, The second thing is your headline. This is your story in brief, 220 characters. The first 30 to 50 follow you around LinkedIn. But this is who you are, the outcome you deliver, the solutions or focus that you provide in a nutshell. And then the third part of your box is the banner. Now, the banner is an image, so it's not scannable. The words there don't matter to a LinkedIn search algorithm, but it does help you with a visual to show your niche, your mission, something with visual interest. Put your picture there, put your logo for your company, and this is mine. I changed it and changed it around again because I was told I needed a CTA, a call to action, which I've got my finger pointing at the call to action. But here's another way to think about it. Sheila, who's often here from Nairobi, has a great banner, and I circled. She put in her expertise in what she does, scaling resilient livelihoods initiatives. People don't have to wonder when they look down on her headline and say rural finance and climate adaptation. I wonder what she does with that. When we see scaling resilient livelihoods initiatives, it's very informative for us. All right. So the second area that we want to talk about is the About section. Ron just mentioned that. This is why they should work with you. And this is where you give them, this is how I do my work. These are the kinds of solutions I provide. And then you add to that your top 5 skills that reinforce this message. As you can see, LinkedIn gives me 3 lines, and I put a space between my next line, so I knew it wasn't going to show, although it reminded me yesterday that I needed to look at this again. But don't forget that your About section is 2,600 characters. I don't believe I've used all of mine. There's still an emphasis on writing in the first person. I don't do that, but I get away. I've got to do a better job. My profile's not ideal, especially my About section. But there's a lot in here that people working in global development may be interested in, and there's other things here that people who want to connect with other coaches and mentors. I get a lot of people who are also mentors or trying to sell me mentoring software who find me and they refer to things in this. So I know they're reading it. But the reason you want words here, this is all searchable by LinkedIn search algorithm. So if a recruiter's looking for someone, a company's looking for someone, people who are looking for making connections if they don't have a lot of connections yet, these are all searchable terms. Now we're going lower. You may be noticing the little circle on the full profiles moving down. The featured section is like your bragging section, although I say you're not bragging because it's facts, but it's your expertise in action. So this is a portfolio of proof. Show things that show how you work, what you've done, what you've accomplished. In mine right now, the first is the interview that 72 Dragons Health did with me on various aspects of my mentoring work. The middle was someone's post about me bringing pom-poms to a career service job seeking group that I support. And then the one on the far right is an award that I got for establishing the mentoring program at Tulane School of Public Health. So those are 3 ways to think about it. And generally, the idea is you can even put in posts there. For example, Ron, if you wanted to feature your post on the work you've been doing with AI and with mentoring 3 people in a working group type of thing, using a visual makes it very attractive. This is what scans cause people scanning to stop the scroll so that they can learn a little bit more about you. Number 6 is your experience, and this is where you show your evidence-based achievements or outcomes. Not surprisingly, because you do that on your long CV and your resumes. What I find, though, over and over again, and with the flurry of graduation announcements last month, especially May and June, I kept seeing people who had all their job titles filled in and no words. This again is searchable information where you get to put in quite a bit of information. I think it's 1,200 characters per job, which is a lot of information about a job. And you get to link your skills. I say use top 5 to 10 skills you used in that job. And that becomes also a visual. As you can see in my first one, my mentoring, I have a little description and then you can see the skills. It shows the things you want to emphasize and it helps reinforce to people, oh, without even opening the description of Sue's most current job, I can see that she has this skill and that skill, which helps people who are busy and trying to find someone. Your skills then is number 7. And your skills you can think of as the base of helping you get found because so many recruiters and hiring managers will search on skills specifically from LinkedIn's drop-down lists. And, but, not and, not but. And at the same time, these skills, as you saw, are linked. Your top 5 skills are linked right in the top, your About section. That provides some visual, immediate credibility. Oh, Sue has these 5 skills that are her top 5 skills. She must be an expert in that. It also links to your jobs. Each job you can show where you've put them. And if you look at this, or even another example, here's more. Each skill will then say so many people endorsed you for that, Sue. Sue used this in so many different jobs. So it helps give the credibility to someone who says, I know how to do, I don't know, some kind of programming. If people who are recruiting see it there in 5 different jobs that I've used whatever programming it was, then they're going to know, oh, this person probably can deliver. So here are the key sections. The biggest thing for me when I started looking at these is the key sections all also, except for skills in a way, include some kind of visual. So if you look at 1, 2, and 3, visual interest, a lot of information, all things to look at. Number 4 is your About section. Top skills becomes a visual. That draws the eye. It's a little diamond that they have that leads the top skills, and so it draws the eye. The featured section, visuals. All of your employment, as long as they have a company page, you'll have some kind of logo there. Again, visual interest. Immediately you can look at mine and say, Sue's had 5 jobs. Doesn't mean they're all of the same duration, but it just gives people information. Skills is a little bit harder, but you can see when you look at the individual skills or on your profile, the two that you've made your top 2 skills, those will show people who've endorsed you for things as well as the kinds of jobs the number of jobs you've used them in. So again, a lot of visuals. All right, so what should you do? Before we go on to what should you do, what do you think most needs attention in your LinkedIn profile of the things that I've gone over? Are there things that you can say, oh, I really need to make time to do X? I'll tell you, I need to make time to redo my About section. It's okay, but not great, I know. Ron wants to do a skills section. That's great. And Stephanie wants to update the About section from last year. Thank you. Those are both great examples. So the things we've talked about generally are set it and forget it. You don't need to change most of what I went over today very often, if at all. I recommend twice a year when you do your CV or resume update that you review these and make changes as you need to. or if you get something new, like Stephanie got a job title, Ron's got new work and wants to put new skills in. So this is part of how you have a profile that's 24/7 ready, that people can find information in. And that isn't, so the two parts of LinkedIn are see and be seen. The be seen part is what we're building, the things that are there. The seeing part is what people are doing, and I'm forcing that into a discussion of that's where engagement comes, writing posts and commenting and all of that. But that's the outreach and engagement side. We're talking about making sure that you're visible for your expertise. So let's recap what we went over again. First thing, claim your name and your credit with your qualifications. Second is your headline showing your outcomes and focus. The third is a banner that helps you advertise your expertise visually. And there's a lot of banners. I have a list of banners that are interesting to look at from people in the course from the last couple of years. If anybody needs that list, just let me know. When we're in the about section, that's for you to tell them more, that's more beyond what's in your headline, and show your expertise with your top 5 skills. I think I've said that at least 5 times today. Number 5 is your featured section, how you've applied your expertise, where it is in action. Number 6 is all of the evidence that you can put with your jobs and the job descriptions of what you've done. And finally, number 7, you can add up to 100 skills, and those should be linked and used in some fashion. I would say no more than 10 per job posting, but anything that you want to be found for, anything that you're looking at job postings, and I saw a couple recently that said must have Microsoft Excel. Normally, we wouldn't put that in a list of skills, but if they're asking for it, you put it in there for sure. All right. So I heard that, Stephanie, you want to update your about section. Ron wants to update your skills. Are those the two things that you'll try to do in the next 24 hours? Just curious. Are you able to do something that quickly?
I probably won't be doing that because I'm going to be I'm on somewhat on vacation and
Yes.
I've got a major meeting tomorrow with my mentees. So probably not.
That's fine. And Stephanie says in the next week, that's great. I really appreciate having that. So you're getting all the back stuff. Okay. So just a reminder of the takeaway. This is a place, your LinkedIn platform is a place to see and be seen. And hopefully now after what we've been through, you realize, oh, how all these parts work together to tell my story, and I've got to use these specific profile sections. That's the real estate when you walk in through the red door of this house right in front that I'm showing you here. That's the way that you can get people to stop and see what you've featured, what your expertise is, what your achievements are. So no references today, a very short presentation, but important to make people aware that there are still reasons, whether you feel like it's useful or not, to have your platform, LinkedIn platform filled in. So Ron, comments.
No, thanks very much. It's always interesting to hear you present on LinkedIn. Your experience in it is obvious. And so for me, I have to weigh the difference between, and I think you and I've talked about this before, is that I'm not in a career search. And so for me, I find it interesting when I'm approached by people who find my profile in spite of the fact that it's quite sparse, and they'll find it and they'll try and connect. And some have tried to do it professionally but not in but in ways that haven't really worked for me. It's not the sort of thing I wanted to do. So I'm in a kind of an odd situation because of that. But I do appreciate the idea that it has some real value, and that's where for me this idea of connecting to people who are interested in on the AI side of things And that's fairly recent and related to the project that I'm working on. So, yeah, thanks very much, Sue, again for the information.
And I appreciate that you in coming along on the ride for the mentoring we do together. Any other comments, Stephanie? Any comments, questions?
No comments. This was great. Thank you.
All right. I think the important thing for all of us is not only is LinkedIn 24/7 available to people, if you're now in a position where you may be job searching or people may be looking for you, if you're not out there somewhere, you're not going to be found. And found is now being included. I think I said this a few months ago. If AI can't find you, you won't be part of someone's recommendation when we start skipping. I don't know that they'll skip job applications. They probably need formalities to show you've applied. But they may be going out and doing a search and saying, I need someone in learning and development who had naval history and who's Canadian because I'm describing Ron. So I want you to be able to get the benefit of the fact that LinkedIn is real estate for you to occupy. So Ron, if you'll go ahead and close the meeting.
Yeah, thanks very much, Sue. And so we'll be back next month. I
Yep.
was just checking out the date. So
I
we're supposed to be getting together on the 3rd of August.